Hello, and welcome to the About Healing podcast, a show created for those on or awakening into their spiritual journeys, and who are ready, wanting, and learning how to heal themselves. I am your host, About Healing medium and certified spiritual healer, Sheree Buckman. It is my purpose to guide others to the path of self-healing and to inspire those on their spiritual journeys in finding their truths. Join me as I share my experience and unfiltered perspective in healing, as well as the incredible wisdom of the loving energy that guides us. Let's begin. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of About Healing podcast. Good morning, Miss Copper.
Good morning. How are you today?
Oh, someone's surprised I spoke to her this morning.
I was like, oh yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah, we're doing that. Copper's like, oh, I'm being acknowledged today. What?
I'm just in my dark little corner waiting for attention. No, don't awe me.
Oh, I'm so sad, Miss Copper. Oh, okay. Sorry. I am really trying to get myself focused here because you distracted me highly with a conversation that is in the complete opposite direction of this topic. So I'm trying to get myself serious again.
You are welcome.
Copper is really good at that.
Rarely serious. I am rarely serious.
Yeah. So Copper is just making me work extra hard this morning and bringing my focus back for, I guess there was a reason. I wondered why I grabbed my big chunk of black tourmaline to help me throughout this episode, which is a really heavily grounder. And I was like, well, that's an extreme one for this episode. But now I understand because of Copper. So with that interesting side conversation for our intro, I don't know, Copper, are you ready to for me to try to get serious and get into this topic?
This is big.
Well, because as giddy in how fun our conversation was before we started this recording, this episode is actually far from giddy and not exciting. However, the topic that we're going into, which is forgiveness, is something that is so big. And it's interesting because I almost want to describe it as heavy, although the act of it is the complete opposite. As a medium, I have worked with many clients who have come to me for a variety of reasons. You know, some of them come to me to hear from their loved ones again, you know, just needing that connection or just to know that they're not fully gone. Some come to start or further their own self-healing journeys. Or another reason, a big reason why, is some come to move past or to understand a certain life situation. But one of the most common messages that comes through, no matter the reason that they are coming to me, is about forgiveness. What I have experienced and what I have learned, not only from my own journey, but from helping my clients and receiving this information from Spirit, is that the importance of forgiveness is so profound that it is not just something we use to heal from. It is an actual karmic life lesson. I believe I had at least mentioned this in a previous episode where I think it was the big why in season 1. I'm sure I've mentioned it in other places, but a karmic life lesson is something that we come into this life to learn or to unlearn or break these energetic cords from repeating while inspiring others so that we can change the vibrational frequency of this plane. And what I mean about that change, that vibrational frequency, I am talking about the softening of energy of our present. And I'm talking about our present time on this plane to create a new future for souls forthcoming. So essentially, this is like laying the foundation to actually creating a world of peace, like world peace. The thing is that it's all possible when we talk about it. It's that one thing, it just makes me think of Miss Congeniality and the big question of, what do you want for mankind, or what's your big purpose? And I want world peace. And some of us will snicker at that, like, well, that's impossible. Absolutely not. World peace is absolutely possible, but world peace is not something we wish for and will magically happen. This is something that requires a massive amount of work. This is something that will happen in evolutionary time frame. That is what's happening. And if you look at history, looking back and where we've come as mankind and how basic or brutal we've been back in caveman history time, and bringing us back to where we are today, becoming more sensitive and more aware about individual people and their needs, and of becoming more aware of the sensitivity and being more sensitive to others, of who they are and that uniqueness without judgment. This is what's creating that world of peace. And it will not happen in our current lifetimes or even our children's lifetimes. But we are laying the foundation of creating something this amazing. But this future, the future of creating that world peace, requires active participation by everyone, every single person, in taking that personal responsibility, being aware of their actions. And forgiveness is a major part of that. So as I began to create this episode, this topic just grew and expanded. Like, I had it on my board. It was just the one word, forgiveness. I knew it was going to happen within this season because this is a major part of an awakening as we're going through that process. Again, a very long process. It does not happen in a podcast season. This is a process that takes years. And one of those aspects is forgiveness. But as I sat down to actually write this out into an episode, and as I was connected in writing it, this just grew. I was and I am being guided and inspired to share the wisdom of, again, that loving energy that surrounds us, to create this and making sure that I am hitting all of these beautiful points. And so to get through all of these points, this is going to be a 3-part series. That's what I've broken it up into. So we have much to discuss. So today we're going to start, and I've broken it down by the first part of talking about what life is like without forgiveness. What would the difference be? So I want to show you, again, when I talk about the coin, you got the dirty side and the clean side. We're going to start with the dirty side this time, because I want you to see what the heaviness and what it creates when we hold on to so much, when we don't offer forgiveness. And so when I created this, and when I was putting together the lessons and the different, the bullet points of this topic, I do want you to understand that, again, this is collective. No matter what situation that you're looking at, again, I have had clients working on this from all aspects and multitude of situations, from just forgiving loved ones from the pain that they've caused, about forgiveness of themselves, of perpetrators of every form imaginable. And so no matter the situation and the whole spectrum of it, this all applies. So today I want to begin the conversation about talking about the badge. At least that's what I'm calling it, because I know that we've all heard of this. It is, there are many people who wear a badge of their pain and anger, and they almost wear it proudly. For some who wear this badge, it is something that energizes them, and it reminds them to put all of their heavy emotions into creating something positive and healing out of a loss or a negativity or whatever circumstance that they've collected it from. And with this reminder, they are putting their energy into creating foundations or volunteering or helping others in similar situations so that they're able to get through it. This act in itself is actually very healing. It is a form of release. It lets out the steam before it explodes or boils over. So this was something, that's why when I talk about this badge, this doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, because some people do wear it as that form of taking that pain and putting it into something else. And this is, if you want more information on that, if you haven't listened in season 1, listen to Channeling the Pain. It's about that. where they're putting it there and creating something with it. However, as we're on this topic, especially within this episode, and we're talking about life without healing, I am talking about the badge for the other side, for the other group of people who wear it, for those choosing to wear the badge as a reminder of their anger and pain and not doing something with it, holding on to it just to keep expressing it over and over again, is actually something that is very toxic and consuming. Again, when I am bringing up these examples, this isn't just about being aware for yourself, because some of us do. Maybe we're doing this, we don't realize it. And so I'm breaking it down to bring that awareness for ourselves. But it is just as important for me to describe these things to you, because even if you are not that person who holds on to this or wears that badge, it is so that you are aware of why other people do. So we can watch those judgments and we can support and help those who may need a little bit of assistance to get past the anger and the resentment and the pain. And some of the examples of why people would choose to hold on to it, again, these are just some of the examples, and this is not a complete list, but one of them is some of them are really afraid to let go, because that means they would have to feel the emotions of the whole process. And while for some it is easy and we know the process and that we can release it and work through it, and knowing that it's always better on the other side once we get through it, depending on how people were brought up or the situation or the support they have in their life, they know that if they at least just hold on to the anger, again, it's something that at least they know what to expect at that point. They feel as if they have control. I can control it if I can stay angry, because I don't know what it's going to be like if I let go of that and if I break down. Again, some of that is that society push of weakness if you were to cry or to fall apart, but it is far from. The past and the history got it wrong, that our emotions are not weakness. Our emotions are our strength. Healing is strength. Just a side reminder there. Felt important to insert it here. One of the other examples of why we would hold it is because it would mean they didn't care if they didn't hold on to these big, heavy emotions. Again, this kind of goes with that fear of judgment in there too, or not knowing how to deal with these big emotions, that if I stay angry, it shows that I really care. That if I'm not wanting to take revenge on someone or something, or if I am not angry at another situation of somebody doing the same thing where I was hurt, then that means I didn't care, or that I don't care. And actually, I brought up one of those key words, which brings me into one of the other examples, which is some people are so stuck into the hate. That's a very, very strong emotion when you get there, especially when you are within a trauma and you're holding on to so much pain. It creates a lot of hate. And sometimes that hate, or it turns into wanting to seek revenge or wanting to hurt others because you're hurting so much and you need other people to feel how much you or they've hurt. Or if other people know how much I hurt and they can feel that, then they would understand. And being stuck in this type of emotion, being stuck in hate, it's something that it becomes contagious. It's a contagious act, seeing anyone or everything associated with the reminder of their pain as equal to the original circumstance, rather than seeing an exception of this happened because, or whatever big trauma happened to them, that they're holding on to all those big heavy emotions, that they're seeing anything as an equal circumstance when it's not. And to be clear here, as some people do wear this badge and hold on to that pain, for whatever reason they hold on to it, this is not necessarily wrong, because there is a process to grieving. And sometimes these emotions are so strong that we can't see through them. And sometimes there is a time and a place where that emotion breaks up a little bit and you can be able to see through it. And that's when you're able to make the choices. So what I want to share, and the point of this episode, is about what it means when you choose not to forgive, when you choose to hold on to the pain and the anger and all those really big, heavy emotions. What does that mean and what does that do? Well, first, you are giving away your power. Even though for some, we hold on to those big emotions because it feels like it's a sense of control. Because at least right here, we can control the emotions that we are feeling, which that is not necessarily true. Because when you're holding on to some of those big, heavy emotions, it is easy to trigger you and push you over the top on those big emotions. And when you hold grudges, when you hold that anger and that resentment, you are giving your power to which you are holding them from. You are energetically allowing these other circumstances or people, situations to affect you over and over again, which is actually keeping you in that victim stage. Because as you hold on to all that pain, especially when we're holding that anger and you're wanting to seek that revenge or that resentment and all of that, you are the one holding them, not the other person. You're holding them. You're holding on to the ones that hurt you. Again, whether it is a person or an actual situation, and whether they hurt you physically, emotionally, or any other way, it is not the other way around. While the situation happened, that is when the other person, or again, you're talking about the energy of the situation, when they took control away. But what you choose afterwards and what you hold on to is a creation of your own. You are choosing to sit and remain in and reliving the same emotional experience over and over again when you hold on to it. And I'm having a moment because, of course, every part of me, and it's just part of who I am and how I work as a healer, there's every part of me that really wants to expand and tell you how to fix this part. But this is the episode that's not about that. And I will get there, I promise you. But I am trying to talk about the reality of the energy that we hold. Again, this is, I do. I feel like I want to coddle and I want to help you, but we have to sit into this little bit of self-responsibility. I am not talking or saying in any way, shape, or form, nor spirit or loved ones or anybody else saying that you're responsible for being hurt. But what I am saying is that we have to look at the energy we hold thereafter, those big, heavy emotions, and we sit in it for long and long and long and a long time, and wearing those badges. Again, remember, you're holding on to it now. You're the one holding on to it. No one is making you hold on to that because those heavy emotions are big and deep, and it takes so much energy. And we're going to work our way more into that in just a minute. And so when you choose not to forgive, it takes your power away from yourself, but it also creates blocks. And now we're talking about these energetic blocks. These are real things. Because when you continue to hold on to fear and the anger and the resentment and the other emotions like these, you are creating blocks within your own life. You become stuck in the past, reliving and not evolving from what happened. These heavy emotions require a tremendous amount of your energy. You are taking energy that you could be using towards caring and loving yourself, which actually automatically activates healing. And you're putting it towards, again, that heaviness, the past. But these emotions, these heavy emotions, again, these are natural. So I am not in any way trying to say that these are bad emotions that you should never feel. Absolutely not. You need to feel them. They are natural, and it becomes in this balance. The point is that we're supposed to process them and then release them. That's what we do with the heavy ones. By holding on to them, you are choosing to give the past or the situation, the group, or the person your life, your energy, and your power. That's where it becomes a choice. And that in itself can create more chaos in your life, not theirs, because we are energy manifesting energy. You are drawing similar people or situations to you because that's where you put your energy. So if you're stuck in the energy of this negativity, of this hate, of this anger towards these specific situations, you're going to be pulling it towards you and recreating it over again. And that's when you start asking yourself, why do I keep attracting these people in my life? Or maybe you're not that aware or say it in that direction, but you're always like, but wondering or saying, why is the universe doing this to me? Or why is God doing this to me? Why do I keep being put back into this situation? A part of it is because that's all you're thinking about and you're consumed by it. Because even if you're telling yourself over and over and over again that I don't want to feel this anymore, I don't want to be put in this situation again, I don't want this, you are still creating it because that's what you're putting your energy. Manifestation is interesting that way because the more you put on what you don't want, you're going to get. It's a side note, and we'll get to manifestation in a whole other episode in another season. But your little tip is it's about putting your energy into all the positives of what you do want. That's how you draw it to you. And drawing this chaos by putting yourself and keeping yourself in these heavy emotions, you're also manifesting physical ailments. I think I've mentioned this in several episodes where, again, the more that we hold on to this big, heavy stuff and unprocessed emotion, it creates illnesses. It's, again, some of those times, even as a simple example of when you're exhausted and you're doing so much and you're fast paced and you're probably thinking, man, I should take a day off. But no, I got so much to do. I got this list. And then all of a sudden, bam, you get sick. You got the flu. And now you can't do anything. And it stresses you out even more. But again, there it is. You've gone so much and now the universe is giving you a moment to reflect. It's interesting. It's a moment to reflect, to see it. But not only that, it manifests in injuries and repetitive difficulties in your life. Again, those situations coming back up and and disabilities. And by holding on to it, you may also be pulling that specific person and keeping them in your life, the one you don't want in there. Because again, holding that hatred, holding that anger, and all of that is still a cord connected to them because that you're putting so much energy into. And it will keep them attached to you in your life. The more attention and energy you put into something keeps them there. That's the point. This process of learning the forgiveness or having the choice of forgiveness is part of the ego and the human experience. In all of my experience with connecting with spirit, for me personally, maybe it's just because of the intention I put on my work, because all the intention on my work has to do with healing, has to do with love, and for the highest and best good of not only myself, but whoever I work with, including when I speak here on the podcast, that all the information I am giving out is for the highest and best good, no matter how difficult it is to talk about, no matter how deep these topics go. It is because what is needed or needs to be heard. Maybe, and it's not only just for you that's listening, but it's for myself too. I've done this work too. I am not just spouting information and trying to give advice that I am not willing or have not taken for myself. I definitely have. I have held grudges in my past. I've held the anger. And again, I created some of these very similar situations over and over and over and over again. And it is a hard thing to break. And spirit does not hold anger or resentment, even if they were like that in life. And I need you to know that because that comes up when I work with clients, because I always have to explain that, again, the ego is separated when the soul crosses over. Everything is seen more clearly. Forgiveness has already happened after death. And I find it interesting to put a point here because I had to be very specific when I said when the soul leaves and crosses over, because when they don't cross over, that creates something where we call ghosts and hauntings and all that other stuff, which is going to be really interesting for future episodes that I will explain at a later time. But I am trying to express the difference. This episode is just about the awareness of what happens and knowing where you are in your process of healing. And when we're talking about forgiveness, and maybe some feel they have done a lot of work, and I think that's beautiful, but you haven't fully forgiven if you think or talk about the situation or person often, or if or when you do think of it, it boils up into these big, heavy emotions attached to it, causing you to react in an extreme way. The goal is to eventually see and talk about the situation as if you are an outsider looking in. You may still feel the emotion to it, but it does not overwhelm you, or nor does it take over your life anymore. I felt this episode was really hard to talk about because, again, I guess it's a part of me. I'm a healer first and foremost, and it's hard to talk about this dirty side without talking about the clean side with them. So bear with me in this process. Just sit and absorb this. Take notes for yourself and journal. In the meantime, please journal. But I do promise that I am going to help you through this. We will get through it. And so especially for this episode, until next time, my beautiful souls, please take care of yourself. With so much love and gratitude, I want to thank you for listening to this week's episode. My hope today is that the message continues to guide you along your path to healing. To learn more about me and my purposeful work, visit my website at abouthealingmedium.com. You can also follow About Healing Medium on Facebook and Instagram, where you can find the episode's healing guidance, quotes, tips, insights, and chances to win free stuff. To ask a question or to share comments, email me at abouthealingpodcast@gmail.com, or feel free to reach me on Facebook and Instagram at About Healing Medium. Until next time, be kind to yourself.